Hey everyone, welcome to the Discover Virginia podcast. I'm Joseph Trahan, your host for the #1 video podcast in Virginia, where we explore the rich history, vibrant culture, and iconic businesses that make our Commonwealth truly special and worth talking about. So get ready as together we discover Virginia. Welcome, everyone. On today's show, we have the pleasure of speaking with Zac Jones, the CEO of Melrose Designs, Virginia Beach's premier local custom signs and woodwork company, equipping signs for businesses across the Virginia Beach and Hampton Roads area. Zac, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Joe.
Absolutely. We are so excited. And on today's episode, for those of you listening, we're going to be diving into Zac's entrepreneurial journey because it's truly one that is incredibly inspiring. And also, we'll be talking about Zac and his services that he provides to the community and businesses of all sizes here in the Virginia Beach area when it comes to custom signs and, of course, the designs that go behind them. Zac, you ready to jump right in?
Oh, I sure am.
Incredible. So take us back, Zac, to 2015 and your departure from ODU with your newfound skills of woodworking. And of course, talk about if woodworking business was something you had initially planned for, or had it just come out of, there's not too many jobs available for it and it just made sense to start your own business?
Yeah, so back in 2015, kind of giving a little bit of backstory, I started at ODU in 2011 doing civil engineering. And towards the end of my college career there, I started my company. I was actually known as the College Woodworker, which is kind of an awful name looking back on it now. A lot of my friends were like, why are you going to stick with that name? And I kind of figured, I was like, yeah, maybe it's time for a new rebrand. So 2014 to 2015, I was known as like the College Woodworker, like on YouTube, giving out like crazy little woodworking advice here and there. And I actually founded my shop, if you want to call it a shop, on Melrose Parkway. I don't know if we have any ODU alumni on, but it's right next to the football stadium there. I started off in a little small garage, terrible lighting. Looks like something that should be like in a horror film. So I started off there.
I try to depict it in the background for those of you watching the video.
Right. Yeah, that's right. I started there. When I first started, I was doing cornhole boards. My roommate said, hey, I'd really like to build some cornhole boards. And I said, okay, let's try it. So, we built one, we filmed the whole thing and we put it up on YouTube. It went a little viral back in 2015. That was during the boom of like the how-to DIYers and everything like that. I did the cornhole board there, and then doing cornhole boards kind of turned into beer pong tables. So it made beer pong tables for a couple of the fraternities and sororities there, a couple light up ones. Started getting kind of bored of the cornhole and the beer pong journey at that time. And I was kind of getting uninspired with woodworking at the time. And my wife, Jess, she recommended, said, hey, why don't you try doing signs? I was like, I'm not the sign guy. I don't even know anything about that. I don't want any part of it. So she said, no, seriously, try it out. It seems like it's kind of a niche thing in this area. It seems like there's a lot of businesses that would have a need for it, even personal needs for like nurseries and that type of thing. I said, okay, so I'll give it a go. So she ended up buying me a $500 scroll saw. And for the listeners that don't know what a scroll saw is, it's basically a saw with a blade that's super thin and it can get super accurate cuts. I started off doing all my signs by hand, cutting them out with like a template that I would print off from Excel or Word. And at first I was awful at it. I just kept practicing. I was like, okay, this is kind of fun doing this. And started off doing a bunch of like nursery signs and personal signs, and eventually started to get into business signs. So super involved with a bunch of Virginia Beach businesses over the past couple of years, and it's all just been word of mouth.
Very, very cool. And shout out to the wives out there, the wisdom of wives. I mean, that's how I got started in my business and industry as well. So thanks, babe.
I know, right? They know better.
Absolutely. So Zac, obviously, there's a lot that happened, and I would like to bring some things to the surface. So from making cornhole boards and beer pong tables in a tiny and at times cramped garage, I'm curious, what part of that portion of your journey in business seemed to have made the biggest impact for you, especially heading into those 2016, 2017 years? Obviously, you had the idea later on, but I'm curious, looking back in that lens, like what were you thinking? Like what were you learning during that time?
So, cornhole is like super easy to build. It's basically just a wooden box, and it has a 6-inch diameter hole in the middle there. And after building a few of those, I just started getting kind of bored with it, and I was looking for something that's a little more challenging. Signs, they were very challenging at first. They get a little bit easier as you go, but every single sign that you do is a little bit different. And as you build these signs and kind of work with your clients and get to know them and everything, and you start discovering how important these signs are for these businesses. It's always the first thing that you see when you walk into any business or organization is you
Right.
look at the
Yeah.
sign and you're like, whoa, okay, I trust dropping off some of my dollars at this place. And it's
Yeah.
always nice unveiling the sign and stuff like that and going above and beyond the expectations of the client. And I just found that super rewarding. At the end of the day, I wasn't always in it for making a ton of money or anything like that. It was more of a hobby, something I enjoy doing and filming. And actually, that's probably more of my passion is actually filming, and just always needed something to film. So woodworking kind of took on that deal there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I understand, during this time of cornhole and beer pong tables, you were pretty, popular on YouTube and posting these videos and these how-to guides. I'm curious, what got you initially started with that, and of course, what inspired you to create content focused more so on, the productivity, lifestyle, and business side of things?
Yeah, so woodworking. I got into woodworking with my dad. I was never very good at it. He kind of showed me everything I needed to know. He had a background in woodworking and construction in general. And I've always kind of had that in the back of my mind that I wanted to do something with my hands in that manner. It wasn't until about 2015, kind of as we stated a little bit earlier, a buddy of mine named Spencer, he runs a media group, and he was always into YouTube and filming, and he was always giving me the perfect camera options and stuff like that. And he kind of was the one that got me into filming. I actually didn't know anything about YouTube until he kind of told me about it, and picked up a camera, started getting a little bit better behind the camera and editing and everything like that. And it kind of just took off from there.
Very, very cool. And especially considering, YouTube in its early days was, I mean, the production quality wasn't quite as it is today. And for those early aspirational video creators out there, kudos to you, because that was no easy feat. From downloading these large file sizes to that take apparently it took days or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know. It takes me like 5 minutes now, but
I know, right? We're spoiled now.
Yeah. So, Zach, as we look towards more the business front, how did your business grow from making cornhole boards and beer pong tables to specializing in custom signs? I know you mentioned before your wife, of course, gave you the idea and gave you the inspiration to kind of formulate that initial idea. But I'm curious how it played out, and of course how it looked like, especially during COVID as well. If you wouldn't mind speaking more on that too.
Yeah. So during COVID, a lot of people know a lot of these small businesses and stuff like that were kind of closed up for shop for 2 weeks. What we thought was 2 weeks at the time, it turned into a
Yeah.
lot longer than that. So we during that time we kind of wanted to get our name out there, and also wanted to help a lot of these business stuff. So we ended up doing some giveaways for signage and that type of thing, kind of helping them out, and then also kind of getting some exposure ourselves on Instagram because we were still really really new during that time. So we did a couple of small business giveaways for signage, gave a bunch of signs away, and we also picked up a ton of work during that time too, because people started seeing the craftsmanship and everything, and kind of the design that we put together with our signs and everything like that. And we just went full steam ahead ever since basically COVID, I'd say, is kind of what that milestone was.
Yeah, good for you guys, because a lot of businesses, it was a scary time. A lot of them shrunk back or decreased their marketing spend and giveaways, where you guys were like, all right, full steam ahead. Like, let's do giveaways, let's promote local businesses. And that's just a real true testament to your work acumen, especially when you will look at the local economy. Zach, how do you ensure that each sign you create is unique and effectively draws the customers in for your clients? I'm curious what that process looks like for you.
Yeah, so initially they'll reach out to me. It's always word of mouth. I haven't spent a single dollar on like advertisements or anything like that, and I just try to think of fun, creative ways to kind of promote businesses at the same time as promoting our business on Instagram, and then a little bit through YouTube these days, more so Instagram now. Yeah, look, the client will usually come to me with with some sort of vision, and they'll say, "Hey, I want this certain dimension of a sign in my space, and this is kind of what my brand is today." And a lot of the times they'll come with logos. Sometimes they don't have logos. It just all depends. Yeah, so we work on a mock-up. Usually, I'll take a picture of the space or have the client send me a picture of their space. I'll kind of brainstorm a little bit for a couple of days, just kind of figuring out what their brand is exactly, what kind of logo they're working with, and how best to represent their brand on their wall or in their space and everything like that. So they'll usually come to me with a couple of design points that they want to hit, and then sometimes I'll put a little spin on my side, and I'll incorporate like greenery. We did a sign for a company called 11 Sis down at the ocean front. And their whole brand just kind of focused around green, fresh, farm to table concept. So we actually ended up doing a sign. It's called a raised like standoff sign. So basically, his letters kind of came off the wall, and the background was basically like a hedge wall type of thing. So it was kind of cool because all the lights would refract off of the letters onto the hedge, and it just looked super cool, kind of during that evening business hour and that type of thing.
Yeah. Is there a certain project that stands out to you as one of your most memorable, or maybe perhaps your most favorite project you've worked on to date?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot with that one. Trying
No
to
client
think.
name, no clients have to be named or not named. Maybe you
Yeah,
can give
yeah.
a certain type of style that you created with.
Right. So there was so I don't know if I've said this, but we do signs. That's basically our core product that we put out. But we also do like small odd end jobs. So there was this one job that it was trying to describe it here to the audience. It was basically a drink wall. People aren't familiar with like drink walls. Basically a wall, and it was kind of recessed where it had shelves, like an arch to it. And I ended up doing like a little small build video of like how to do the arch. And it was just a bunch of what we call kerf cuts, which is a bunch of small cuts in the wood that'll actually
Sure.
make the wood bend. So anyway, I put that wall together, and the client absolutely loved it. She used it for her wedding, and I think she actually uses it now as like a photography slash drone storage shelf in her house. So it was multi-purpose. It worked for
Oh,
her wedding
wow.
and also for her small business as well. And Yeah, initially she just wanted just the drink wall, nothing crazy about it. Finished that up in my small shop at the time, and I said this thing needs something else. It's missing something. So I ended up kind of laying it back, and I was just trying to figure out what I could do to add just that one extra step onto this project to make it kind of like a Melrose Design Company original. So I ended up integrating some lights. She didn't ask for any lights or anything like that, but I recessed them in there so that she couldn't see them, but they were always available for her when she needed it. Anyway, put that thing together, did a small video, and it actually went super viral on Instagram. I think it got like almost 1 million views or something like that. And that's where a lot of my
Yeah.
following ended up coming from, was from that one video there. So it's pretty cool build video, and also a pretty cool product there at the end of the day.
It's amazing. It's incredible, Zach. I mean, just the fact that you could not only create something, but capture the creation in a way that is informative and entertaining at the end of the day is it's why we want to have you on the show. So we appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
When it comes to the future path for Melrose Designs, Melrose Design Company, and of course your YouTube channel, your business tips. What should folks be looking out for from you when it comes to maybe upcoming projects they can be on the lookout for?
Yeah, so at the beginning of the year 2024, my wife and I kind of sat down, and we always put together like a list of 5 goals, personal and also business goal oriented items. And one of my things that I really stood out on my business list was I want to help more businesses like in the Hampton Roads community. I wasn't really sure at the time like how I was going to do that, and I'm still kind of unrolling it right now. But I think I want to do a lot more giveaways coming up in the future. So I definitely want to do some sort of giveaways on Instagram, maybe YouTube, where um, fellow friends of small business owners, maybe tag their these companies that may not be doing so well, or maybe they're doing phenomenal. And I want to do like a turnkey project for them where we're building them a custom sign and they don't know anything about it. And then we just go there, we film it, we install it. And then on top of that, we'll also put together kind of like a quick little video of like, hey, what is this business? What is it used for in Virginia Beach and Hampton Roads and everything like that? And kind of use our platform to kind of bring more of our viewers to businesses kind of like that as well. So it's kind of like a
Wow.
little ecosystem we got. We want to try to give back with what we kind of built on our side, and do our best to kind of refer some of our clients to some of these awesome businesses that we've had the pleasure with working with. So it's pretty cool. It's kind of one of our
Incredible.
main goals
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun. Like say, like extreme sign makeover or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Where you
Yep.
can kind of do it from behind the scenes and they don't know about it, which is a super cool gift. Um, Zach, I know you are super passionate about, encouraging and inspiring entrepreneurs. So I do have one final question
Sure.
before we get to the red carpet side of our conversation today. Do you have any advice for aspiring entrepreneurs or content creators who want to follow a similar path as you? What are some quick tips or some quick stay away from these things
Yeah.
that you want to shout out their way?
Yeah. So when I was first starting off, I always thought owning a business was super unattainable. I thought it cost too much. I thought you had to have a lot of money to get a business going. And the further I got into kind of my YouTube slash side business hustle, I started figuring out like you don't need a whole lot of money to start these types of things. All you need is really your personality, a vision, and you need some sort of brand to kind of focus on. A lot of these people, they get not people, but a lot of these young business professionals, they always get kind of the stipulation that they need to spend a lot to make a lot, and that's not the
Sure.
case. Everybody walks around with a video camera. This camera that I'm filming on right now in my car, on my lunch break from my day job. Anyone can start filming content and kind of pushing people towards what they want to do and pursue in their life. I don't know what that looks like for everybody out there. You kind of have to have something that is kind of a niche. You also have to have something that you're super passionate about and enjoy doing. And if you're in it to make a ton of money, you're not going to be too successful with that. What I
Right.
mean by that, Joe, is your goal should always be providing a service that makes other people happy, and you should get a ton of enjoyment out of that. And I believe at the end of the day, if you do something like that, um, it'll be a lot more fulfilling. And I believe that money and stuff will shortly follow after that. So yeah, if anybody's out there that's looking to get into filming or building, or I don't know, making a candle shop or something, just know you always have the resources probably in your house. You can start any business you want with just a couple of dollars in your pocket, to be honest with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then when it comes to needing a sign, you just hit up Zach and you're all set, right?
Exactly. Yeah. We'll cut you a deal.
Absolutely. Zach, thank you so much for your time and carving out some wonderful, wonderful conversation topics during your lunch break. We do have one final segment on the show called the red carpet. We want to roll it out to you to give you opportunity to share any final words, messages, or promotions. But in order to get there, you have to answer some rapid fire questions. Should you
Oh, okay.
accept, you get the red carpet. Are you up for the challenge?
I'm up for it. I don't know how well I'll do, but I'll give it a
All
shot,
right.
Joe.
Well, it's worth a shot, I think, for a red carpet. So, Zach, we'll go ahead, fire off with our first question for you. Um, what's the best piece of advice you've received about running a business?
The best piece of advice I've learned about running a business through fellow YouTubers, they say just basically film what you can, and just put your persona out there, and don't be afraid to take on challenges that seem unachievable at the time. You need to constantly push yourself, and you need to constantly put yourself in an uncomfortable spot, and that's how you grow.
Great tip. Great tip. All right. Next one. Most challenging woodworking project you've ever tackled?
Ooh, most challenging woodworking project. Oh gosh, I recently did a bar for my wife. She owns a company as well. It's called Light and Pine. She's a luxury event rental company in the Virginia Beach area. Anyway, she had a bar that has radius corners and a bunch of fluting. And then she also had a stipulation where she wanted an insertable like message board, basically like an accent wall that you insert into this bar. I can send some pictures of it as well, but it basically lights up and it's super, super clean. I put a lot of work into that thing and it turned out really nice. Completely white oak top and fluted radius sides and everything like that. Looks Bristol.
Absolutely. We'll just whenever we post this episode, we'll just have you encourage you to post it. That way folks can go and check it out there.
Yeah.
That'd be incredible. Zac, what's your go-to tool in your woodworking shop? One you have to have regardless of the project?
Yeah. So my favorite tool, I think, in the shop right now is probably my CNC machine. I used to cut everything by hand, but these orders kind of got out of hand. So I ended up having to hire my first employee, which is a CNC machine, which basically I do all the design in the computer. I import it, do the files and everything like that, send it to the CNC machine, and it basically cuts it out for me.
Very, very cool. How do you stay inspired and creative in your work? It sounds like from the cornhole to the the beer pong tables, they weren't as inspiring. And I'm sure doing designs repetitively might get a little old, especially if a CNC machine might be doing a lot of the work you might
Complex.
have spent a lot of time doing. How do you like to stay creative?
Constantly challenging myself, and my clients definitely like to challenge me. They always want to try to one up the last thing that I did, and I super appreciate that. I do get a little intimidated here and there when we start getting into these bigger signs and stuff like that that require like man lifts and multiple people on the job. But it's also kind of fun because it's challenging myself, and I feel like when I challenge myself, I myself grow, and then also my business grows too. So super rewarding and super awesome.
Very cool. Last one for you, Zac. Favorite spot in Virginia Beach for your outdoor time?
Ooh, I'd say the Narrows over off of 64th Street. Me, the wife, and the kids, we usually go over there.
Great
Yeah.
recommendation. Most people say the ocean front. I'm like, nope, next.
No,
Okay,
no.
the
No,
Narrows.
you can't
Perfect.
go to the oceanfront. You got to go to the Narrows over on North End. You got to go to that state park, pay your $7 fee or whatever, drive back. They got a ton of boats and stuff that come up on the beach. And I mean, granted, we're not on the boats. We're on the beach because we can't afford a boat. But it's still cool. The kids love it. They love seeing the boats and jet skis buzz back and forth. And it's always a good time out there.
Love it. Love it. Zac, thank you again. You have made it through the rapid fire question section. And
I like it.
time to share any final words or messages to leave the audience with today. Floor is all yours.
Yeah, just keep pursuing your guys' goals. Um, just be out there and constantly trying to make sales. At the end of the day, you'll always find that niche that you're into, whether that's woodworking, sewing, candle making. But you always got to remember at the end of the day, you are a salesperson and you need to constantly be pushing your brand. And that should always be at the forefront of your mind, pushing your business and then also yourself as an individual too.
Love it. Zac, thank you again for your time. We greatly appreciate it. And of course, thank you to our dedicated listeners for checking us out on another episode of the podcast. We hope you've enjoyed it, but in order for us to know you've enjoyed it, be sure to hit that like button and follow along for new guests each and every week. And we'll see you all on another episode very soon. Talk to you later.
Thanks, Joe.